Hello sailors, this is the Dodgy Kebab and today's video is my promise to return to the private World of Warcraft server, Dalaran WoW. This video is a follow-on from my last visit here, so it's probably worth watching the first video if you haven't done so already. Anyway, I said that I would revisit the server to cover raiding here, but I've taken this opportunity to actually do more than that, and I'll be looking at their new realm, Algalon. Algalon is a Wrath of the Lich King progressive server in which you need to clear each raid tier to be able to access the next, and the tiers are released progressively too. So right now, Nax, Uldar and Obsidian Sanctum are open, but the others are not. This also affects things like emblem NPCs in Dalaran, as some of them are yet to show up to the party, but they will roll around the moment Icecrown Citadel opens up. I still had my level 80 horde sitting around from their other realm, so I used the transfer option to allow me to jump right into the action. It said it might take a while, so to pass the time I made a new horde character to play around with. I checked back after a little bit of levelling, but the transfer wasn't done yet, so I rolled an alliance character while I was still waiting because you know what, fuck the horde. I levelled up a bit, then checked back to the transfer, but it was still not done. To pass a bit more time, I had a look around on the internet. And then checked again, but still nothing. So I decided to watch television for a while.
This channel is shit.
Then I checked yet again, still not done. So I went on a wild LSD adventure. I came back into consciousness and it was still not done. I then spoke to a GM who told me about the 4,000 characters in the transfer queue, and the next day the transfer was complete. Well, actually it was a clone because I still had my horde character on the old realm too. I logged in and found something was wrong. My gear wasn't showing up in the inventory, so I re-logged, only to find on my return that all my gear had now gone. Turns out that my 10-man Nax gear wasn't permitted to be transferred, but lucky for me I still had some of the gold they gave me, so I bought some wanky items off the auction house to get started. I played for a bit, then discovered that the staff had dropped me some donation points into my account, so first thing I did was to use the faction change option to change myself into a glorious Alliance human. Now I was no longer a stupid walking cow, I got down to business and started doing some heroic dungeons. This was the moment I found that the progressive selling point of the server, it just hit me. RDF does not exist in this patch, so you have to go real old school and actually look for a group yourself. Not only that, but you actually have to travel to the dungeon and then help teleport everyone there. This is actually a lot better than it sounds. People tend to stick together in dungeons when they know it's going to be an absolute effort to find a new group if they rage quit. So people end up playing better and don't get into stupid arguments over nothing because they know the last thing they want to do is go back to square one and find another group to play with. Okay, finding a group does take a bit of time, but the whole process feels more rewarding in the end. Plus, since my last video, the server population has grown quite a bit, so I managed to visit quite a few dungeons. In a move that will shock regular viewers, I took part in some PvP action of all things. This is because Winter Gasp actually works here, so it would be a bit of a discredit to the server if I just left it out. Now, I'm far from a PvP expert, but everything seemed to work fine. Tanks rolled around and destroyed stuff, lots of people on the battlefield, and it all seemed to go on without a hitch. As your average horde player is nowhere near as skilled as even the worst alliance character, we raped the shit out of them to claim yet another victory for the master race. So before we get to the raiding, I think I should cover some of the negatives on the server. low level caster mobs deal way too much damage. This is something that doesn't seem to make a difference really beyond level 12, but this is something I had an issue with when grinding a low level character. This is a problem I've seen on another server and can be frustrating when completing those early quests. Mobs link way too easily. The distance that the mobs need to be to each other to chain attack you is just too much of a wide area, and although it doesn't cause too much of a problem after the starting zone, it's not correct and should be fixed. Dalaran WoW offers 2 realms. Kirin Tor was the realm that I featured in my last video, but now that has become a ghost town with almost no one using it. Everyone has moved to the new realm of Algalon, and they really might as well stop putting resources into Kirin Tor and just shut it down. It's a waste of everybody's time. The last point I want to make is that the warrior's charge move is a little bit dodgy. I think this is something to do with the server's pathfinding, because if you're on a hill, then there's a lot of time that charge just will not work. Although you don't seem to get the problem of charging through the floor and dying, the server seems to overcompensate for that and renders the move unusable in some situations. Now that's the moans out the way, let's get to the meat of this video, raiding. I had a feeling that Dalaran WoW was going to be pretty good in this area, but I didn't think it was going to be as good as it actually is. The raiding scripts here are flawless, and trust me, I was keeping my eyes peeled for anything that was under retail quality, but I didn't spot a single mistake in any boss in any raid. These guys have gone to town to make Wrath of the Lich King raids as close to retail as they can. I cannot say it enough, the raiding here is absolutely spot on and puts all other servers to shame. So to conclude my 2-part Dalaran WoW review, I'll summarise the main points. Algalon is a fairly populated realm now, and is heading the right way as far as being a true player in the market. Although it's still a fairly new realm, it's off to an amazing start. The player base is nice enough, and they all seem to speak English, though if you can't speak in the Queen's tongue, you could be up shit creek here. It does what it advertises. It really does offer a retail-like, progressive Wrath of the Lich King experience, the best raiding scripts I've ever seen in a private server. It's not 100% perfect, some things do need fine-tuning, but hopefully this video will help the bug tracking team iron out a few things. So the question of would I recommend this server is an easy one. Yes, I'd have to say this is your best bet for a Wrath of the Lich King private server. The end game is flawless, and how good it already is in such a short space of time speaks volume about the staff behind it. Yes, you should try Dalaran WoW's new realm out, because it is really, really good.